What's up? What are you doing
What? You guys know each other?
here? We were close friends in Uniport. What's going on?
This is your date? Far away from this low-life buffoon. Because I was his date 2 weeks ago, last week, and even 3 days ago.
How dare you! I can't believe I fell for this thing all over again!
Ovi, I'm sorry. Ovi.
Seriously?
For the One began with two friends, Jidena and Henry, who can be seen standing, totally ignoring the constant knocking on the door. Jidena complained on how the girl knocking wouldn't let him be, and when he thought she had left, she reappeared again. The girl on the door can be overheard threatening she was going to wait for him to come out, no matter how long it would take. Jidena was frantically pacing around at this point as his friend blamed him for only attracting crazy girls. When the girl started threatening to deal with Jidena, his friend had to intervene. He finally opened the door and she barged into the house. She asked where Jidena was and she repeatedly stated no man can use her, including Jidena. Jidena's friend smartly lied on how Jidena had traveled, and in fact, he had no clue of his whereabouts. He offered for her to have a drink, deploying his reverse psychology technique in a bid to convince her to leave, and it worked. Jidena was happy his friend successfully discharged her, and he thanked him. Sammy came into the kitchen and cleared her throat aloud to get Ove's attention. When asked what the problem was, she sarcastically asked her to open a restaurant in the kitchen since she has turned herself into a chef for Daniel, her boyfriend, who has refused to take their relationship to the next level but has consistently been milking her of all her resources. Ovie simply asked Sammy not to pressure them because her boyfriend Daniel will soon pop the question. Ovie got to Daniel's house with a basket load of food. He welcomes her into the house and he dotes on her for being so lovely and kind. With so much emotion on his face, he also confessed his undying love for Ovie. Ironically, Daniel was going to respond to the knock on the door while Ovie was still in his house. Lo and behold, it was his main girlfriend, Lucy. Being a sneaky guy, he quickly cooked up a lie to tell Ovie. Daniel told her he was playing along with Lucy in order to bag $1 million contracts from his boss, who happened to be her dad. Daniel asked Ovie to pretend to be his cousin, which she surprisingly did. Daniel even made her bring them drinks. Later that night, Daniel apologized to Ovie for what had happened and he promised he would cut her off once he bags the deal. He also went ahead to reassure her of his love for her before they said their goodnights. Sammy was concerned about how cringy the whole situation was and she advised Ovie to be careful with Daniel. She also took notes of the supposed Lucy, who was supposed to be the child of a billionaire, and she promised to do a background check on her. Sammy knew her friend was in trouble when she saw Daniel having fun with Lucy. She tried making Ovie see she was being fooled, but nothing could convince Ovie otherwise. Sammy was shocked at how delusional her friend had become, all in the name of love. She promptly did her background check on Lucy and it confirmed her suspicion. She called for Ovie and showed her a picture of Daniel's engagement to the Lucy girl. Ovie tried making excuses for Daniel, but her world came crumbling down when they got to Daniel's house the next morning. At first, the gatekeep did not allow Ovie and Sammy gain access into Daniel's house, but they forced their way in. Ovie revealed the truth to Lucy, but even when the truth had been revealed, Daniel kept lying to everyone's face. When Ovie painfully recounted how she did all the wife duties, hoping she would be married to him soon, but he cheated on her, and the worst of it all was that he was about to get married. It almost got physical when Daniel stated he never asked Ovie to do any of those things for him, and she did all the hard work for him out of her own accord. Ovie lost it and gave him a hot slap when Daniel said she was like a sister to him. Lucy also gave him another slap when he kept referring to Ovie as his family member before she stormed off. Ovie felt more stupid than heartbroken. She blamed herself for allowing Daniel to play with her head. In a bid to snap her out of her misery, both girls stepped out for a drink. Ovie got wasted and totally became a nuisance. She spoke loudly, laughed recklessly, and even whistled at Jidena, who happened to be hanging out with his friend Henry at the same lounge. Sammy tried controlling the situation, but Ovie took her dramatic display to the next level. She approached Jidena and heavily flirted with him. Jidena, being a bad guy, also reciprocated. They ended up in bed eventually. Ovie woke up the next morning and Jidena thanked her for being of a great service the previous night. He even gave her money in appreciation of her excellent performance. Ovie quickly left without taking the money Jidena Gidenna gave her, and it made him wonder what sort of a girl she was. Ovie apologized to Sammy for disappearing with a random guy and getting her so worried. Ovie was super embarrassed of what she had done, but she had to focus on finishing up a trailer load of work because her boss, Susan, was back. Gidenna continued his escapades with women like nothing had happened. While he was hanging out with his friend at the same lounge he met Ovie, he unconsciously looked around for her, but his friend reminded him she was not coming. Ovie and Sammy stepped out one day and they were approached by Daniel, who pleaded for forgiveness. Ovie released venom on Daniel and gave him the warning of his life when he kept lying and even tried convincing her he loved her. Ovie found herself in a very uncomfortable situation when she found out Gidenna was the new business partner they were supposed to have a meeting with. When the meeting was done, Ovie's boss, Susan, unusually insisted she join Gidenna since they were both going the same way. Ovie tried acting like she had never met Gidenna, and when she couldn't take the tension of his numerous questions anymore, she asked Gidenna to drop her on the road. Ovie poured out how the whole situation was crazy, especially the fact Gidenna mistook her for a call girl after having a one-night stand with him. Sammy thought Ovie was getting too emotional about the whole fiasco, and she suspected Ovie may have fallen for Gidenna without her even realizing it. At this point, it looked like Ovie's boss was setting her up for continuous embarrassment. Susan sent Ovie in her stead to have a meeting with Gidenna at his house. She got to Gidenna's house for the meeting, and Gidenna tried chit-chatting, but Ovie simply asked them to be professional and focus on the job. He apologized for referring to her as a call girl, but Gidenna paid deaf ears to Ovie's request of them acting in a professional manner, and he didn't just flirt with her, he made an attempt to kiss her, which she responded to with an unexpected slap to his face before walking out on him. While on her way home, Ovie bumped into her old-time friend Regina, who happened to be one of the girls Gidenna is currently having a thing with. They were so happy to see each other and simply exchanged pleasantries. Gidenna's friend Henry confirmed he had fallen for Ovie and teased him for being a lover boy all of a sudden. Ovie receives the gift and immediately knows who it's from. Ovie called and scolded Gidenna for sending her an unsolicited present, but he told her he knew it was her birthday and that he just wanted to celebrate her. He also suggested a hangout, and if bringing a friend along would make her feel safe, then she should. Gidenna further expressed his feelings for her and asked that she consider him. Ovie got to the venue with Sammy, her friend, and Gidenna was nowhere to be found. In fact, Gidenna, who invited Ovie out and was supposed to be there, was having a heated fun session with Regina. Ovie and Sammy waited for a while before heading home. All her calls were not responded to because Gidenna was, doing the do. During one of their meetings, when Susan excused herself for a while, Ovie made sure she registered her displeasure, but Gidenna apologized and gave her a made-up story of how he took sleeping pills instead of painkillers for his backache. Gidenna just kept sending Ovie random gifts as a form of apology. Finally, Ovie forgave Gidenna and they planned to have a do-over at his place. While Gidenna was waiting for Ovie to arrive, Regina suddenly came instead. Gidenna tried lying in order to discharge her, but things got out of control when Ovie walked in on them arguing and asked what was going on. Regina simply revealed everything to Ovie. She got to find out he didn't miss her birthday party because he slept off from taking the wrong drugs, but because he was having a sizzling session with Regina. Ovie felt betrayed again and she was left heartbroken.
Hi. What are you doing here?
I texted you. Anyways, I forgot my keys at a friend's. Luckily, she's bringing it here, so I decided to come spend some time with you while I wait. And maybe give you some of that sugar. Table for two. What's the celebration?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Mm-hmm. I wanted to surprise you.
Gidenna, this is obviously not for me. My visit here is a surprise to you.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, my guts, I just knew that you were going to come,
You know what, just stop. Stop lying to my face. You and I were never exclusive, so it's fine if you have a side chick. Am I the side chick? I'm the side chick, right?
What's up? What are you doing here?
You guys know each other?
Yes, we were close friends in Unipods.
This is your date? You should stay far away from this low-life buffoon. Because I was his date 2 weeks ago, last week, and even 3 days ago.
V, come on.
All through that week.
Even on the 15th.
I was in his bed. That That was your birthday.
I can't believe I fell for this thing all over again.
To break up with her. Ovi, I'm sorry.
Seriously?
Ovie explained everything to Sammy and wondered if something was wrong with her for her to be meeting very horrible men back to back. Jidenna also explained to his friend Henry about all that happened, and his friend blasted him for being egoistic and a Casanova who derived pleasure in hurting women. He advised him to change his lifestyle and seek for something more stable other than his temporal fun. Jidenna didn't want to hear the truth, but he knew Henry was right. Jidenna kept trying to get through to Ovie, but to no avail. Ovie, Sammy, and Regina casually talked about what Jidenna did, and they joked around about the whole situation. Regina assured Ovie she had no problem if she decides to be with Jidenna. Jidenna sincerely asked Ovie to forgive him, and they finally went on the long-awaited date. Ovie really enjoyed herself, so Jidenna and Ovie lived happily ever after. The end. Moral lesson: honesty is definitely the best policy. I am certain you enjoyed this movie recap. Do well to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you can be notified when next we make another post. Thanks for watching.